You know, it's amazing. Sometimes we find ourselves in that place that frustration settles in. It's almost like we're looking for a problem when there wasn't one. You've heard that old phrase, right? You don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. We tend to find what we're looking for, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This morning, I was going to talk about gratitude. And I was really thankful that my day was going smoothly and I was up early and I was on my way and then my back decided to hurt. Then I get to the studio and I start to set everything up and my iPad decides to go into update mode. It was plugged in on Wi-Fi all night last night. It wants to wait till I get to the office, plug it in the studio, then do its update. Then not only is it an update, it freezes and says, you don't have enough space to do an update. I have 6 terabytes of iCloud. But the newest update turned off the setting to back up to iCloud, and so now I have to do another update and back up to iCloud. And until then, I cannot use my iPad. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't like this. I'm very disappointed in all the money I've invested in these technical devices, and they don't work when I want them to. And then I remember that the point of today's lesson might cause me to ask, are you not grateful that you have an iPad, that you have a studio, that you have a job, that you have breath? And that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders podcast. And yeah, I experience the same joy that everybody does. The same fun of going through life, waiting for the other shoe to drop, wondering when the next bad thing is going to happen, when everything that when everything that I plan doesn't come together the way that I planned for it to, when all the pieces and the parts, they're not what I wanted, not what I expected. I mean, we all hope for the best, right? Even if we're just good Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, prepare for the best, or hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You've always got to be ready for something to go wrong. But the place that we tend to fail at that aspect is in our attitude. Yep. It's real easy to look at our team and go, I wish they were better. I mean, think of your favorite sports team. You can look at them play, whatever sport that is, individual golf, tennis, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever it is. And when you watch them play, you think to yourself, I could have done better than that. Go ahead, admit it. You've said those words. I could kick a better field goal than that because they missed. Or I could have thrown a better pass than that. My 2-year-old could have thrown a better pass than that or caught a ball better than that. We all have those moments where we're prejudging what someone else's outcome, what their potential is. And the sad reality is, it's not true. I couldn't throw a better pass. I probably couldn't have caught a better pass. I couldn't have hit that slap shot from the middle of the ice and hit the goal. No. Chances are no. But even more than that, the reason we find all that negativity is because we're looking for that negativity. The reason we find failure on our team is because we're looking for failure on our team. We kind of expect people to disappoint us. We've preconditioned ourselves to say life is going to suck sometimes. And because we know that's true, we don't get hurt. Right? Because we know something's going to go wrong. It's always going to go wrong at the most inopportune time. Thank you, Mr. Murphy, for writing those laws down. Maybe if Murphy had been hit by a bus a couple of weeks ahead of time, the Murphy's laws wouldn't exist. No, I think they're just laws of the universe. I don't think there's much we could do about them. Whether Murphy wrote them down or not, we would still have to cope with them. But I do think that we find ourselves in that negative expectation cycle. And when things go our way, we're always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Leaders are really bad about it when it comes to their team. And at this point, I don't mean your favorite athletic team or your sports team or your political team. What I mean is that group of people that you lead. Yeah, the ones that you're responsible to, maybe not responsible for, but responsible to. They have life as well. They make mistakes as well. They live up to the standards that are set for them as well. They live up to the highest level of your expectations for them. And when you come into the relationship with them, into the new project, into the new sales cycle, into the new year, and you're thinking, this isn't going to happen. They're going to miss the boat. The investment's not going to come through. The opportunity won't be what we hoped it to be. These salespeople just can't cut the mustard. The odds are you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're already treating them as if they failed. You're acting like failure is their only option. And even though you would never say it in your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your attitude, your energy, how you think about what you feel and what you feel about what you think, that attitude creates energy, magnetic energy, measurable EMFs generated by your body into the realm of the people that you interact with on a daily basis. They can feel your negative vibe. You never said it. You certainly didn't put it in writing. You wouldn't tweet something like that. You wouldn't put it in comments or in somebody's employee review, but you feel it. And you know as well as I do, as much as we all want to ignore this truth because we get all up in our own feelers inside our head and inside our own emotions, we don't want to admit that when we walk into a room and someone else's energy makes us feel like, I think they're judging me. Is it the color of my shirt? Is it the shoes I chose to wear today? Why don't they like me? What did I do wrong? And we get up into that cycle in our own head. See, we're projecting. We're ahead of time letting their rejection infect our mood. Yes, I said infect, not affect. It's infecting our mood like a bad bacteria. And once it gets in there, what does it do? Well, first off, bacteria stinks. I don't know if you've ever noticed that or not. You pop a zit or you get an infection in your leg and you get that pus on your finger. That is a nasty, rancid smell. And so it is when your attitude starts to infect your behavior and your personality and the way you treat people around you. And see, here's the hardest thing. If you're around people who have a high level of energy and you expect that high level of energy to be exactly the same for you that it is for everybody else, then you don't see that. You project. You reject yourself in their eyes ahead of time so they don't get the chance to. You want to make sure that you're already prepared with that hardened heart and hard head to say, you don't get to not love me. I'll choose that. You don't get to tell me I'm not good enough. I'll decide that for you. You don't get to tell me. And so all of a sudden you're feeling and you're thinking in a certain kind of way, an attitude, which is changing your energy level, the electromagnetic frequency that you're emitting to the people around you. And you're doing it based on a preconceived notion inside your own head, your own biases about yourself and the people around you. And now everybody around you thinks, wow, I can kind of smell that attitude. That stinks. I don't want to have any part of that. And what happens to that? Well, they reject you. They don't want to hang around somebody with a negative attitude like that. And when you walk into the room and you think, they don't like me because of my shoes. They don't like me because of my hairstyle. They don't like me because of the color of my shirt. They don't like me because of the last project that I turned in wasn't the best home run ever. But then you make yourself unwanted, unreasonable, unpleasant, unlovable. And all of a sudden people, well, they fall right into the trap that you have already set for them of becoming the kind of people who, well, they don't want to hang out with you because you're not the kind of person nobody wants to hang out with. Nobody wants to be around that negative, stinky attitude. They're going to leave. Not because that was their plan. Not because of your shoes. Not because of your shirt. Not because of your hairstyle. Not because of your last project. But because you have made yourself unlovely, unwanted, unpleasant to be around. Now, there's an old phrase that says that you will get what you're looking for most of the time. Some people call it the law of attraction. Others will call it a universal principle. If you're seeking something, you will find it. Think back to what your mom always said. When you lost something, she'll always ask you, where was the last place you had it? If I knew that, it wouldn't be lost. Well, it probably is wherever you had it last. Well, unless we have a dog, because then it could be anywhere. Check the backyard. It's probably buried. But if you just lost something, she's going to tell you, look in the last place that you know you had it. But when you find it, you'll always find it in the last place you look. Why? Because you found it. You're going to stop looking now. Why would I keep looking if I found it? Last night we were at an event. Someone left their phone behind. Somebody was able to get into the ID of the phone and not hacking it, just able to get to the owner of the phone. Found out who it belonged to. And the person beside them says, oh, do you know them well enough to call them? And we all looked at her like, really? Call them on the phone they left behind? We're going to call that number right there and expect the other person to answer? I don't think it works like that. That's like the people that take a picture of somebody's cell phone laying on the counter, and then when they leave, they send a text to the cell phone, the same one that previously was laying on the counter, and tell them you forgot your phone. And they turn around and come back to get their phone because they saw a text message on the. Are you following me? See, this same kind of cycle happens with your attitude. You will find what you're looking for, and when you find it, you'll stop looking. And as a team leader, you will find goodness, success, opportunity, power, advancement in your team if that's what you're looking for. If you've already set your expectations that they're going to fail you, disappoint you, dislike you, be mad at you, hold a grudge against you, resent you, then you're going to act as if that's already true. And since you can't call a phone that is lost, you're going to live out those expectations. You're going to live as if that's already true until they believe it is as well. You're going to live as though they're going to disappoint you. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to disappoint you. You're going to live as though they will fail at every project you assign them to. Guess what they're going to do? Fail at every project you assign them to. You're going to live as though they resent you, that they're jealous of your success, your promotion, that you'll just never be friends again because you got to step up. And because you believe that, you'll live as though it's true. And then they will feel as though it's true because that's the way you treat them. And it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, what if we took that mechanism because we know that it's true? You've done it. You've rejected somebody because you wanted to be the first to reject them so they couldn't reject you. If we know that that principle is true, what if we flipped it on its head? What if we took a team that was a mess, that just couldn't get it together? They can't get along with each other. They're always bickering with each other. Nobody wants to finish a project. They all want to blame somebody else. They all want to shift the responsibility to somebody who had no control of it in the first place. But they just don't want to take their own accountability. They don't want to hold their own level of responsibility over the project and its completion. What if we took a team like that and instead of pre-jecting, instead of estimating just how badly they disliked us or how big a failure they would be, what if we flipped that on its head and said, I see great things in you. I could pull 2 books off the shelf right now. John Maxwell and Dale Carnegie. John Maxwell says, see other people as a 10. Expect the best from them because you will find what you're looking for. If you expect the very best of them, odds are you're going to get the very best of them. Now, this doesn't work 100% of the time because you will have people who are determined to self-destruct, to self-sabotage. Sometimes at your expense, but most of the time at their own. And when you see that in them, the best thing you can do for them is to encourage them to see themselves better. What I call story power. Tell better stories better. The first story you've got to tell better is the one you tell the person that's brushing your teeth and combing your hair. The story of your own goodness, potential, capability, lovableness. Is that a word? Lovableness. Loveliness. No, those are different. your own ability to be appreciated by others. If the story you're telling about you cancels you before you even get out of the gate, you're not going to win. But if you're their leader, you can speak those things into their life and perhaps even overcome the story they're telling themselves. If you can see them as a 10, if you can appreciate even the smallest details and tell them that. Thank you for being the kind of person you are. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for trying as hard. You try harder than anybody that I know. Now, that's not a compliment that says, you're a winner, this was a great success, every project you turn in is perfect. No, it's one that acknowledges effort and passion and consistency. I promise you, even the worst screw up on your team, there's something about them that you can say thank you for. And when you do, you will shift their mindset. You can encourage them to seek after opportunity that previously they would be terrified of. Simply by saying thank you and giving an honest opportunity for them to do something better and different. And believing in them, see them as a 10, see their potential, see their opportunity. Encourage them to grow. Nobody can do that like a leader who has the right and the opportunity to speak into their life. But you first have to be willing to say, man, I see the bad attitude. I see the failure. I see the late to work. I see the not doing things at 100%. But even in the face of all of those negative things, I'm going to find one. I'm going to find one that I can say thank you for. I'm going to find one to applaud them for, one to pat them on the back for. Now, let me also encourage you in this. A lot of leaders feel like this, 2 positive for 1 negative, or 3 positives for 5 negatives, whatever it is, that belongs at the time of the employee annual review. That before you chastise someone, before you scold them, before you tell them just how bad they suck, you got to tell them something positive, even if you have to make something up. And they will usually reserve that for one time a year. Maybe it's when they're handing out Christmas bonuses. Maybe it's just when they're saying thank you for staying another year and they're getting their employee review and may or may not be getting a raise. No, this should be a daily habit. I'm going to tell you something. Encouraging other people comes hard for me. I spent most of my life hating me. Looking in the mirror going, that dude's fat and unlovable. Why has your wife stayed around almost 30 years? What is wrong with her? She could do so much better. That's the kind of inner conversation I deal with regularly. That makes it really hard for me to look at somebody else and go, you've done an incredible job. I would have an impossible time believing it about myself. So giving it to somebody else, that takes a lot of courage, because I suspect they have the same problem I do. They're real slow to accept compliments and appreciation. But see, there's something about this appreciating other people, this gratitude for other people, these stories that we need to tell them about themselves because we're leaders. It takes discipline and habit. It takes discipline and habit to say thank you about the smallest details. To genuinely appreciate others takes moving the spotlight off you and onto them. Dale Carnegie says a different way. Not see everyone as a 10, but, you ready for this? Give them a fine reputation to live up to. And they will. See, sometimes it's not just about finding the thing that they're doing right now to say these are the pros and these are the cons, these are the positives and these are the negatives. It's not just a balancing act of, well, which ones do I call out now, because I got to have something to say that's positive before I can say something negative, something to encourage before I reprimand. That's a balancing act all on its own. That, again, takes discipline and habit. But the idea of giving them a fine reputation to live up to, that's what we would call future casting. It's almost prophetic in the way that it works, and that is to look at someone's greatest potential and remind them of it regularly. As a leader, you have opportunity to see that potential, probably further down the road than they can. You have an idea what it could become, what they could become, what they could accomplish. You see their gifts and their talents, their skills, their abilities. As a leader, encourage them in those things. Help them to find the right place to apply them. Help them to find those fine-tuning adjustments in their own personality quirks, their own attitude, to find gratitude, to find other people that they can be thankful for and thankful to. And if you will begin to practice these things, I say practice because nobody's perfect the first time around. Practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. You're going to have to discipline yourself to encourage others to say thank you for the small things. You're going to have a habit of that attitude of gratitude. It isn't going to come easy. It's going to take you changing. But remember, too, the law of the picture. People do what people see. The more you can learn to be grateful, thankful, and express that to your team, the more they will take it on in themselves. And as they do, that team that's a mess can be an entirely different team of people with a different level of accomplishments and capabilities. Just because you learned to say thank you to a team that's currently a mess. Take the time to learn an attitude of gratitude. Take the time to be disciplined in doing it until it becomes a habit. And you will find that you are an entirely different person as a result, and chances are most of your team will be as well. It's up to you. You're the leader. People do what people see. See them as a 10, and they will become one. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.